Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. You may notice a few things have changed around here. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But we are back with an ongoing session or an ongoing campaign that I have been running titled Beneath the Banner's Shadow here on the channel. This takes place in a homebrew world of mine known as Rostveen, particularly in a kingdom known as Vykaril, which is heavily based on Arthurian myth, as well as some English and German folklore and mythology. Yeah, so I'm really excited. This has been going on for, I think we are rounding on 7 years, which is insane. But here we are. We are making a switch back to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition from Cortex Prime, which we have been playing for a little while here. So there will be some adjustments there as well. What else? If foul language and mature subject matter is a problem for you, then please do not watch this game. Don't watch anything on my channel. It's probably not best. Yeah. So we are back here. This is going to be session 51 of this campaign. This is going to be titled Familiar Ground. In just a moment, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, tell you where you may be able to find them on the internet, plug anything that they've got going on, and then we'll get things started. But I did also want to thank the artists who did a lot of the work that you see throughout this campaign. Any of the Shieldhouses that you see here on our overlay, with the exception of the Lightnor shield, was designed by an artist named Rachel Ayers. She was absolutely fabulous to work with. I highly recommend, if you want this kind of work done, to try to reach out to her on social media. And then Augusto is the artist that did the portraits that you can also see on the other side of our overlay. Steve commissioned him to do those for us, and they're fantastic. I love having bespoke art of characters for my games. Usually I use a lot of found art, but having someone actually create art specifically for a game is a really special treat for me. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Let's see. What else? Oh, you will hear 2 pieces of music, one during the break, one after the fact, and those were made by our former player, Josh. So he is taking a leave from the campaign, but we'll get to that as well, kind of in the story and what that's going to mean for his character. I think that's all of the business that I need to take care of. So we're going to start with Steve and go around the horn, introduce yourselves, and say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
You can say more than that if you'd like.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, so I'm Steve. Excited to be playing again. Don't have anything real crazy going on other than surgery on Wednesday. So hopefully the last one. Too many of them. But yeah, otherwise, just excited to be back and playing.
Hell yeah, man. And yeah, fingers crossed. All the good vibes headed your way. I'm super hoping that it goes well and recovery is smooth and easy. Okay, next up we've got Eli.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eli, and I'm here to play Sir John Lightnor today, as usual. Profligate rogue with no honor or dignity of any kind. It's really good to be back. I'm a dad now. I think that's news since the last time I was here. That's pretty wild. My daughter's doing well. She's 5 weeks old now and, living life, pooping a whole lot, and that's my responsibility. We'll have to have a discussion about that when she can have discussions, but here we are. And otherwise, just stoked to be here.
Man, absolutely thrilled for you. I once told one of my buddies, I was like, man, having a kid is the wildest thing. Somebody who shits on you, pisses on you, throws up on you, hits you, and does nothing but complain. And you love them more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
Normally, if you had a friend like that, you would never spend time around them ever again.
She had a sleep regression earlier last week, and I was talking to a coworker about it, and I was like, at least she's cute. And my coworker was like, yeah, that's on purpose. If they weren't cute, this would suck a lot more.
very true. It's a wild ride, man. I'm happy that it's going well for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, dude, super excited. Next up, we have Karen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen, also known as Myth and Gears. I'm so excited to be back here in this game. I really have nothing else to say. Let's play. Okay, bye.
Perfect. Succinct. Sweet. I like it. Speaking of sweet and succinct, last but certainly not least, Baron.
Hello, everyone. I'm Baron. I am here when I get to be, as frequently as I can. Other than that, leave me alone. It's funny, I was thinking about this earlier because I remembered Steve saying that he was in his last spring of surgeries, and I was like, I haven't talked to Steve. Like, how do I know this? And it's because I watched the Jumanji game the other night, and like that's how these just become in my head. It's like I was there for that, you know. I participated in that one. I did not, but watched that one. It was pretty good. I enjoyed watching it. But either way, I'm returning as Masaka Tord, the paladin, champion, swordbreaker, you name it. Lost in this whirlwind of an adventure.
Dude, absolutely. The crazy journey that this group of characters has been on is almost as insane as the journey that all of us have been on in real life through the time that we've been playing this campaign. It's hard to determine which is tougher sometimes, but we're here for it. This is a tale of fealty, courage, and woe, and damn it, we put woe with bold letters. So I think without any further ado, we can go ahead and get started. You ready? Let's do it. At times, in the journey we call life, we may find ourselves returning to places we tread once before. Revisiting the recognizable people and places we had to leave behind at one point or another could be the revitalization we need. Or it could be a painful reminder of old wounds not yet fully healed. Are we somehow responsible for the things that changed in our absence? And how do we reconcile the things that have not, though they now take on a new appearance, because of the altered lens of our own experience? We find ourselves still deep in the Lactorond Mountains, in the halls of the dwarven kingdom of Tralik, and further inside their stronghold, deep down within the root of the mountain, we find the Mithril Forge, this fabled location. And things here have not been normal for a while. The queen of the Tralik kingdom has been hard at work in the Mithril Forge, forging swords by the thousands, by the hundreds of thousands. Bastardization of the traditions of her people and the forge itself, creating an army that she could telekinetically control with her mind, that were just an army of swords. And you had to face no small number of them as you fought to take her down, finding out that she was in fact a member of Sakawida's coven, known as the Witch of Swords. In the process of battling her, Dane also made a very bold move. He charged the forge and thrust the materials that you had gathered thus far to reforge Camagel, and he now has a sword for an arm. So, you have just defeated this witch, Dane is now in a state of, sword-handedness, I guess is the best way to put it. Where does that leave all of you? What happens in the immediate aftermath of this skirmish that you just went through?
I think Sir John would immediately rush to Sir Dane's side. And like, it doesn't really matter if the sword arm is like red hot from the fire or what state it's in. He would immediately like grab Sir Dane by the shoulder and the wrist and just like make an assessment of what's going on. And I think like look directly into Sir Dane's eyes and be like, "Are you all right?"
Uh, uh,
Does it hurt?
I'm just like holding it. What did I do?
Perhaps
Does he
none
need to
can
be
say.
healed? Does he need healing? I'm going to approach. God damn it, Dane! Lay on hands with a smack. Non-gauntleted hand, of course, because that's fucked.
Fair enough.
I don't recall if we were down HP from Cortex or anything like that. If you're down HP,
I mean, if it had been a D&D combat, you absolutely would be down HP.
then I'm gonna bump you with like 15 points. Lay on hands.
I don't think I can put it down.
Do we need to cut it off? Maybe.
Huh? What? What? It's
Your sword is stuck to you now.
yeah.
Should we cut it off? And then
I don't.
she's looking to Sir Torn and then heal him.
I don't
I
know
don't
where
think we
this.
should cut it off.
I don't know where the sword stops. My arm starts.
Sir John,
is it like you have like sharp, just like choppy arm, or is it like fused to your hand? You have like an extension of your arm kind of thing. What do we got here?
Tell us, Steve.
So I imagine where the pommel would be is where the wrist would start, right?
Okay.
So like the hand has become the cross guard, and then a blade is sort of coming out from that.
So it's like you got like Baraka kind of like
yeah, I think from the wrist bone up it is Camagel, like just
Damn.
and like maybe even like as you look at
I
it,
don't
like,
even
you
know.
see part of the handle like fused back into the bone and skin of his arm.
Have any of you
I
seen
don't know where we would cut this off. Yuta.
Can you wield it like a sword still, or is it like stuck in one position?
What?
We have movement, freedom of movement.
Sir John,
Like,
Sir John
can
at this
you do
point is like almost doing physical therapy on Sir Dane's arm, like moving it through the range of motion, and in particular is like trying to manipulate the wrist.
Ari ducks at one point when you kind of swing it. It's like
We defeated this witch. I don't recall. We didn't kill her, did we?
I don't think so.
I think she's unconscious. I don't know.
I think
For sure.
last thing I want to say before we turn attention to the witch is I look at Dane and I'm like, Dane, if need be, we will drill your thrusting techniques. It will be okay.
How am I going to give the sword back?
There are many questions that remain unanswered. We will just have to find out.
How am I going to write letters home?
Being left-handed isn't so bad. I think in this moment, everybody thinks to themselves, I've never seen Sir John hold a sword in his left hand.
I've never seen Sir John write anything. Yeah, all the left-handies got burned.
Yeah, in this
They
era,
get
left-handedness is black magic.
They've been purged from Vykaril.
They have their own kingdom on the southwest coast.
Sir John's been escaping the persecution of
That's right.
black magicians for a long, long time.
Life in hiding. Amazing. Okay, so it sounds like you dispatched Queen Dorthos and did not actually kill her. That seems to be the consensus, or at least the intention.
I think that was the goal.
I'm pretty sure we tried not to kill her on purpose.
Okay.
We severed her connection. What that
Right.
means,
Right. Okay. So in that case, she lies off to the side, unconscious, shallow breathing. Her wounds, clearly visible. Swords kind of like laying scattered around all around her. Some of them are still just as hot as the sword that is now part of Dane's arm. She's covered in the soot of the forge and blood from the fight, but she lies there not moving.
I would call for some sort of attendant. Actually, hold on. I wouldn't do that yet. I would say I should probably call for some sort of attendant. I'm not going to smack the queen.
There were the ones by the door. I'm not going to go get them.
You just hang tight. And I'm going to go to the... go ahead, Sir John.
So John is the most noble of the party, and so he's just like nobility. So he's just gonna pick her up and like follow Tord out and like demonstrate care, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I think I got the picture. So kind of where you are is this high pedestal type place in an otherwise very, very large space, cavernous. And it's not easy. She's not, a featherweight.
A lot of stairs.
It is a lot of stairs, but Sir John is strong. And,
yeah, it's easy for Sir John.
Yeah, I don't think that it's much of a workout. So you're able to carry the queen away from the forge and kind of back up to the ledge that you kind of saw in that picture above, kind of behind where the statue is, and then out the doors where you had the short encounter with the guards that were standing sentry. And as you start to arrive, they're kind of like peeking down the little hallway that kind of leads to where they are, because they just heard a ton of noise coming from in there that was not normal. And then it grew quiet, aside from the striking of that hammer kind of still periodically. They when they spot you, they kind of look to one another, unsure of what exactly to do, and then they start making their way towards you. What happened?
Don't stand and ask questions. Go get some help. We need medical attention.
Of course. One of them kind of turns on his heels and runs back the direction that they came from, while the other one stays and looks at the queen.
You, come get her.
Okay. He kind of sets down his axe and comes over to take her from Sir John. If she lives, she's going to be really, really mad.
Oh, she's going to live. And she can be as mad as she likes.
Better mad than dead, and in the thrall of a witch.
Did you do this?
We freed her.
Freed her? Freed her from what?
I don't believe it's your place to know these things. We'll tell those who deserve to know.
He kind of blusters for a second. I mean, you're foreigners coming into his home, telling him, what to do. But whatever authority that he thinks he has quickly crumbles beneath the very obvious capabilities of your group. All right. We should get her back to the main hall.
Very well. Quickly, then.
And he'll turn and start to try to carry her back towards the main hall. Needless to say, every dwarf you pass kind of joins the growing collective as you make this kind of parade back towards the main hall. It's clear to them that regardless of what exactly happened, what comes next is of great interest to them. So there's a lot of like whispering and murmuring going on as you make your way through these monolithic cathedral-like hallways, finding yourself back in the main hall where the grand braziers burn bright and hot, and there are statues almost every 10 feet, reminding you everywhere you look of the dwarven craftsmanship of stone and the enormous wealth that they must possess is all on display. But you return to this great hall, and there's a lot of the refugees and like the injured from the mines that are still being healed as you get closer to the temple of Moradin. And before you even like cross halfway of the distance, the priests of Moradin are already coming out of the temple. Two of them looking like they're ready to receive the queen. And they'll ask the same kind of question. What happened? Is the forge okay?
Forge. The forge is fine.
So John, I think, still has her in his arms, and like if anybody moves to take her, he'll let them, but otherwise, like he's happy to keep carrying her. And I think he'll say, she was in the thrall of a witch that we have pursued for many months. We have freed her. She needs help.
A witch? Is that why she was the way she was?
It pains us to say it, but yes.
Well, then you have done us a great service. They will take her and head into the temple. There's a long period of time where it's kind of unclear, like, who's in charge of the situation. Like, everybody is kind of like talking about this situation and what it might mean and what's going to happen. And there doesn't seem to be like a clear leader emerging from the dwarves at all. And nobody that kind of like comes to directly address you.
I imagine us all kind of like in the equivalent of a hospital waiting room, like sitting or pacing or whatever. Uh, Maybe like almost weirdly attached to the situation, considering that we are the ones who knocked her out, even if it was for her benefit. And so the lack of people coming by probably sits all the weirder with us. Like, I think Sir John, anyway, is no stranger to what happens when a noble line falters or when it's threatened. And so, in his mind, he's mostly going back to his home when his father was plagued. And I think he's just like running over in his mind, like, is there a successor? Where is the king?
So you would remember whenever you first arrived here, that you were told that the king that Dorthos married mysteriously disappeared a few months ago and has not been seen since. So, like I said, there will be quite some time that like passes where this is the case, where you're kind of left to your own devices. Eventually, someone will seek you out. However, is there anything that you wanted to say or do before that happens?
I
do
mean,
think-
would.
Good,
Go ahead.
good, please.
I mean, I'm gonna look at your arm, is what I was gonna say.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to get either Tord or Sir John to help me move my scabbard to my, like, around on my left hip so that I can cross my arm in front of myself to be able to put this sword away. It's awkward to, stand like that all the time, but that's way better than just, yeah.
It's true.
Good and laugh, guys. Good. There we go.
Well, in good news, you can't logically push barrels up a hill anymore.
Still plenty of time for squat thrusts.
Are you sure you don't want us to cut it off?
How's your lunge technique? Do you think you can get past the guard?
What? No, lunge. I get it. Yeah. Cut it off. I don't.
I mean, it wouldn't take us very long, honestly. I mean, I could probably do it in one, maybe two swings.
How's it gonna feel when you connect with someone? I know sometimes vibrations in my hand get really smarts,
Hey, what if you chipped it?
I
I'm
don't.
sure that's gonna hurt.
I don't. This is the first time I've ever had a sword as part of my arm.
What if, hmm.
Dane, it won't be all that different than wielding a spear. We'll figure it out.
What about sharpening it? It's
I'm
like
curious.
filing your own.
I think I I draw my sword and I hold it out and I say, Dane, clash.
Um, like, you see, I'm like very hesitant. Like this. What if it does hurt?
I look at you expectantly at this point. Like, go on, Dave.
I think
Clash.
we're all watching him. He's like,
Man. Yeah, after a couple of moments, I will. Like, it's.
do it like you mean it.
I think even just like you swing once and it connects and we bind briefly, and then if you swing again, I evade. I'm like voiding and not allowing you to hit me or anything. And once you kind of catch on, I'm like, did it hurt?
I don't know, DM. Does it hurt?
Do you want it to hurt?
I mean, not really.
File
There's
out
enough
into the things
woe
I've said as a
involved.
DM.
New meaning to Dungeon Master.
I am
Good
your
boy.
dungeon master. Good lord.
No, I mean,
This is why you come here,
Merciful
kiddies.
God.
I imagine it feels very weird.
Yeah, I would imagine. But I'm not gonna
Um,
make it hurt. That's
Right.
unless that's something you want to deal with as a character. There's no reason for that.
Right. No, I'm good.
You can see Sir John sheathes his sword, and he's in his mind, like clearly shadow fencing, and he's like imagining if he can't move his wrist, like what would be the techniques and everything. He's doing some major homework right now.
I suppose on the bright side, I can't drop it. uh, I don't. m- Maybe with enough practice, I can make the sword go back inside me at some point, like it was when we were in base shields. I don't. But if I do that, do I just not have a hand?
Perhaps not.
I would think probably not.
But remember the tale of Sir Boris, who lost his hand and became equally adept with the other. This is not the end for you. You haven't even lost a hand. You've gained a weapon. It's merely a matter of learning how to use it.
I did kind of lose a hand. I know what you're saying. I was not expecting this to happen. No. I guess I kind of screwed this up, huh?
That remains to be seen.
Well, I mean, there is the whole, like, it still has to be given back portion of it. And
Fealty is very often more than we bargain for.
right. Also, there's the dragon's fire thing.
Sir John puts his hand on Dane's other shoulder and looks at him directly in the eyes again and says, Dane, you have survived much. You will survive more. We will make sure of it.
It also answers the last part of the riddle. The waters of your home.
Well, I guess on the bright side, you all know where I live, and so after I'm barbecued to a crispy bit, you can throw me in the lake. And
I can assure you, none of us will let you get barbecued by a dragon.
The sword has to be.
And it will. Without the rest of you.
So you are gonna let Ari chop it off?
No. Maybe. No.
I mean, I guess if I have it coming from someone, it's probably her.
Don't do that. We give her too much credit. She doesn't get to cut people's arms off.
No, I mean, after all the stuff I put her through.
You know, I'm standing right here.
I'm trying not to think about that.
She didn't stop them from letting us eat twigs.
True. She might even have put them up to it.
I hadn't pursued the ladder up that far, but
You know, I can hear you.
and
Right.
would you like me to look at you the next time instead I'm speaking to Dane?
Never mind.
On a entirely different but related note, who's in charge here now? Kingdom wise? I mean, the queen's not dead,
We arrived an hour ago?
right? Well, how would it work where you're from?
The direct heir of the crown would take control. If there is no direct heir, then the line would falter to a relative of some kind.
A regent.
Maybe her sister? Maybe this is how the two dwarven kingdoms get united?
If the queen is dead. We don't know that yet. And I would hope that, oh God, what's her name?
The one that's damaged, or the sister?
Vingefrick.
Vingefrick.
Yeah. I would hope that Vingefrick has not lost both a father and a sister in such a short time.
Surely it's not up to us to decide the succession of power.
I should hope not.
Truthfully, I would like an ale. Or 5.
I think we've earned some.
I mean, we are in a dwarven stronghold. Every other building has to serve ale or something.
So John starts to look around this temple.
There's just like a big basin of ale.
It's not holy water. It's just
It's the blood of Moradin.
Holy
It's a trough outside. I would imagine that near the temple. Yeah, I would imagine that it's very far to find a tavern at all.
On our way out of the temple, so John would check just to make sure, like, it's okay if we step out, right?
Yeah, it seems like the clerics are doing what they do best. They're attending to the queen in addition to the other charges that they have here, and trying their best to see if they can save her, to bring her back. Obviously, healing magics being what they are in D&D, that's probably a foregone conclusion that she'll be fine.
She's expected to make a full recovery in the next 45 minutes.
Right. 24 hours, she'll be fine.
next 3 combat rounds. Perfect.
Yeah, she's got about 18 seconds before she gets 75 hit points back from 3 5th level clerics.
But it is obvious that there are lingering effects, just like there were with Bodhi and with Neolani. The connection that they had with Sakawida and the rest of her coven is not something that is just easily put aside like bodily injury seems to be. But they are working as best they can. And yes, it seems like you are no longer needed in the moment. So yeah, you step into a tavern across the way, and it's everything that you would expect from a dwarven tavern. There's no curves to be seen anywhere. Everything is straight, right angles, very geometric. All of it's made of stone. Stone benches that have cushions set atop them. Stone tables that are incredibly stable and perfect. There's no wobble to them at all. The tankards that they're serving out of are made out of crystal or stone themselves, as well as a lot of metallic ones. And the ale is extremely stout. It is very heavy, very strong, very thick. They have other things to drink as well. Garnet wine is also a very popular drink amongst dwarves. And if you're looking for food, then they have a lot of roasted meats, a lot of root vegetables, very thick, hearty food as well. And you can eat and drink your fill.
Well, I think Sir John invites Tord over to the casks with him. Shall we?
You know me, always down to sample the local beverage. One ale, please.
And one for me. In fact, a round for everyone.
Let me get some of
Everyone.
that stew there, too.
Everyone here.
Put it on this tab.
Right away, sir. And the keep very happily kind of gets to motion. This is very obviously more patronage than he's seen in a little while. Everybody seems the constant working of them in the mines, the constant labor has definitely left merriment as kind of like a frivolity. But he gets to pouring drinks and serving stew, and yeah, you basically have the place almost to yourselves. There's a small handful of other dwarves here, and that's about it.
Can I tell what kind of meat it is?
Mountains. Probably goat. I would imagine. Maybe mutton of some kind, like a sheep.
I imagine there's some sort of like probably equally as thick as the stout, just like boiling stew of lamb and potatoes. There's probably
Yeah.
like 3 carrots total in there. It's just this brown, but it probably smells like just incredibly savory, just like overwhelming. There's probably mushrooms in it as well. Something to
Definitely.
take, the mix up. And toward
They herd goat around here. That side of the mountain, I imagine.
Aye, some of them. Usually on the western slopes. It's a little north of here.
Potatoes, carrots, mushrooms, all local.
Well, I suppose they're about as local as you can get. Farmed just between here and he gives the dwarven name. I don't have it written down in front of me. The dwarven name for the city that you came from, where Vingafric is ruling. Forest Gate, I think, is the translation to it.
Interesting. Smells delicious.
Oh, it's an old family recipe. Goes back generations.
You can smell the fresh beef tallow.
Well, eat up. There's plenty more where that came from. Okay. You sit and eat and drink your fill to whatever level that might be. Dane, how's your eating and drinking going?
Slowly, very, very slowly. Like it's partially out of shock and partially out of how do you do this left-handed? So I think, the soup is off the table. Like literally, maybe as I accidentally, but bits of bread, cheese, meat, like he can grab with his fingers and eat that way is different. There's a lot of moving around trying to get comfortable with this arm, like, stuck in front of him and more or less trapped now it's in the sheath. And a lot of like looking from Ari to Sir John to Tord, realizing that he may have really just screwed the pooch on this. Like, and then every time Ari cuts into like her vegetables, like the sound of that knife going through them, like yeah. I'm not sleeping tonight, that's for certain.
For what it's worth, there is like no pity in Sir John's eyes. There's no negative feeling of any kind. It's just like assessment and thinking.
Okay. Eventually, the doorway to the tavern opens, and a dwarven woman enters. Like shockingly red hair, like a high shave on part like the sides. She very clearly is a warrior of some kind. She wears armor, carries a shield and a hammer, all kind of bedecked with the what we would recognize as like Celtic knotwork style decorations on all of the artifacts that she wears. She comes in like she's here to put out a fire. She like moves the door open and kind of like looks around. Her eyes land on the table of your group, and she strides kind of towards you. And she says, "Are you the group that fought Dorthos?"
Sir John stands and says, I am Sir John Lytenor of the House Lytenor of Vykaril. We helped to free your queen, yes.
Well, she's not my queen. She extends her hand out towards you to shake.
Sir John takes it.
Awfully grateful for all of you.
If she is not your queen, then where does your gratitude come from?
I'm loyal to Trallic. Dorthos, she married in, both to to this place and to her power. I don't follow her. I never have. She was always strange, Everything had to be about her. And she was cruel to Vingafrick. It never sat right with me. So when she became queen here, I took a position that led to travel. Or I could be away from home. Oh, I miss it. I came back only yesterday to find all of these people broken, sad, and their queen hiding away in the forge, twisting it in an evil way. So many were lost before their time. But now they're trapped in these swords. Were meant to be nothing more than just infantry and some war she cooked up.
I may misunderstand you. People trapped in swords?
Aye. That's what the Mithril Forge does. It binds souls to artifacts that are made in it. I didn't know.
See.
Torg starts coughing on his soup.
Mm.
Are you familiar with the Mithril Forge?
Aye. This is my home.
We may have need of your counsel. If only we had crossed paths with you before we crossed paths with the Queen. Please, allow me to make introductions. This is Sir Tord of Angorshire and House Pendrake, Ariana Gill of House Baneshiol in the Northern Forests, and Sir Dane, also of House Lightnor. And Sir John is specifically gesturing at Dane's arm.
You're a varied group of people. May I ask what brought you to Trollic?
We are driven by a quest.
By whom?
It is the quest of Camagel. Are you familiar with this blade?
Camagel. Aye, that's the king's sword.
So John gestures at Dane's arm again.
I mean, it is sheathed at the moment, but
Mhm.
yeah, Camagel was broken, so to speak, and so we've spent quite some time trying to put it back together, so to speak.
You try to put the king's sword back together. That's why you've come?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a little more complicated than that, but yes, at the very basic level, we're supposed to have a hand in reforging it. Some more than others, apparently.
Did you operate the forge on? And she kind of like points to your hand.
I'm not a dwarf. I would definitely not have operated the forge, but it was already in operation. And
So that hand, that weapon, that was made under Moradin's hammer.
well, it was put together under Morden's hammer. It was made a long time ago.
She says, and you lived.
Oh, turns out I have a penchant for doing that. Or at least getting over being dead.
One of his strangest skills, for sure.
See, and do you feel different? Have you heard any voices?
Oh, I talk to the sword all the time. I'm.
Her eyes kind of widen. Before
Mm,
you put it into the forge, you talk to it.
mm. I look to like Sir John. Like, should I stop talking? Is kind of that like look I give you.
So John like barely moves, but you can tell that he's fine with it.
Um. Yes. So I give you the short version of it. Someone I thought was my grandmother that turned out to be the spirit of the sword found me some time ago and chose me to help sort of go on about this. And so I guess I've always carried part of it and I've just gotten more parts of it. And now I definitely have part of it, or it has part of me, or all of me. But yes,
I see.
mhm, yep. I mean, sometimes it's more than just
Uh,
talking to it. Sometimes I have its memories, the sword's memories.
she kind of like looks like she's taking this in, and it doesn't look like it's all that shocking or like a surprise to her.
Turns out dwarves do this all the time.
She's like, well, I suppose that explains as to how you survived. Your souls were already intertwined.
I I think so. And I'll like roll up my other sleeve and like my left arm where there's not a sword and all the rusty skin I have. And yeah, I think we've kind of been quite literally growing closer over our travels.
It's fascinating.
That's
Forgive
a
me.
word for it.
I I am I am quite drawn to works of the forge. This is something I've never seen or heard of before. May I? She kind of like indicates as if like she can take a closer look.
Yeah, I'll stand up and very awkwardly, like probably bumping off like a mug or a bowl off a table, get the arm out.
She kind of examines it, trying to be, cognizant of your personal space. But she is very enamored with this weapon. It's it's roughly hewn. It's dull, duller than my cousin, but it's a fine sword, all the same.
Yep. I don't think it can be sharpened without finding the stone that it came from, or so that's what we were told.
Stone that it came from. I thought you said you forged it here.
Okay. So, Camagel, the sword,
Aye.
um, mm, my best understanding of it is that it kind of exists as more than just a physical item, and the physical item may or may not have been absconded with. And so we're taking the essence that belongs to Camagel. I'll kind of like tap my chest. In fact, I'll probably even go to tap it right-handed and just sword to my face. Sorry. We're building it again, but there was a litany of things that could take years to find. And that's how it's supposed to be reforged, but the next step, I guess, is sharpening it.
Well, we've got whetstones aplenty all around here.
Yeah. This has been very, very specific. Like we had to
Oh,
get the metal from Angorians. Um,
She points to
wood
Torrid.
the wood from the elves,
She points to Ari.
and then the next step was to join it at the anvil under the mountain. And I'll point at my arm.
I see.
I think, honestly, this is as much about uniting Vykaril again as it is putting a sword back together.
Suppose that's why it's the king's sword.
He's gonna be real pissed. Or she. It's a queen currently. But yeah, the next one says it has to be honed on the stone from whence the sword sprang. And I don't know what that means because I got the sword I had from a washing woman that turned out to be the sword. I don't fully understand that part.
So John
Seems a
kind of
little
cuts in at this point,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Forgive us. Would you mind telling us who you are?"
Oh, she kind of looks like almost ashamed. Of course, forgive me. My name is Cavadolina Duchesses. I am a friend of Princess Vingafrick. We grew up together.
Cavadolina.
Hi.
We met Vingafrick not long ago, but we do not know her well.
Did you? You've seen her recently.
We attended her father's funeral.
Her father died. She looks like somebody just punched her in the stomach.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of such bad news. It seems to follow in our wake.
Is she okay?
She was sad.
Well, she puts up a tough front. She's a very capable fighter, but things get to her. She bottles it up, and I'll make my way down there and see her. It's been a long time.
She is stronger than you would give her credit for, I think. But I do believe she would welcome your company.
She kind of blushes a little at this. Well, once I finish my business here in Tralek, I'll head out to see her.
Can you take her a message from us about her sister?
Aye. She'll want to know what's happened here.
Exactly.
It would be my honor to take this news to her and tell her that Dorthos will be just fine.
Yeah, and I think at this point too, like Ari will pull out like a piece of paper and quickly write on it some words to Vingafrick about her sister and the kind of the short version of what's happened here, just to kind of let her know everything that's gone down about like the the king's death potentially, and what her sister was in thrall of and that kind of thing, just to give her the full information in a quick synopsis, and hands it to Cavadolina.
Perfect. Yeah, she'll sit and talk with you while you kind of write this missive And it's very obvious throughout the remaining bit of conversation that you're having with her that her mind is elsewhere. Your guess would probably be that it's with Vingafrick. It seems as though they were close at some time. Probably more than just friends, like she said.
I'd like to use my know your enemy ability during this conversation just to get a sense for like, is she especially martial? Is she like a peer of ours? Is she less powerful than us?
So you definitely get the impression that she is a martial character of some type, a warrior of at least some renown. But you don't think that she would be able to stand toe to toe with any one of you one on one, especially not together.
You said that you have roamed in the time that the Queen has sat upon the throne of Trolloc. What of your adventures?
Well, I ventured around Moon Lake, which is a part of the mountain range that you're currently in. To the northeast of you is a large volcanic crater in the top of this mountain that is filled in with water and has become a lake called Moon Lake. I visited our cousins in the different parts of the continent. Been gone maybe 2 months or so now. Not long, but long enough to miss it. There seems to be something going on here. Coming home felt strange, it felt odd. Like a dark cloud looming overhead.
So John looks at the rest of the party with like plenty of gravity, and says, "Well, I hope that our actions have brought happier times to your home."
If you have managed to change Dorthos in some way, and she survives as our queen, then I am grateful for what you've done for Trolloc. What she was doing was, we were in a bad way. And things were only going to get worse, and I think it was very soon.
So John looks around at the rest of the party again and says, "Our knowledge is limited, but we have been in pursuit of a terrible witch with many servants. And I don't know what the future holds in store for Queen Dorthos, but her enthrallment to this witch has been severed. What happens next is up to the Queen and her attendants."
Well, as I said, I hope that something has shaken her loose. She was intolerable as a child, but not like this. So I'm hoping whatever change was made is permanent, that it sticks.
On the subject of shaking loose, you said earlier that the swords forged by the Queen contain the souls of dwarven people. Is there any hope of freeing them?
Possibly. I'm not sure. Maybe the Forge clerics might have some more insight into that. They might be able to figure out some way to separate their souls so that they can rest. If not, then they'll find a home here in the halls. We'll hang them up and will remain here.
So
As
John's
their,
eyes. Oh, go ahead.
as their funeral stones.
So John's eyes flick to Dane for just like a hair's breadth, and he says, "Well, I hope that the happy days we seek to bring to this place are not balanced by woe."
Well, Cavadolina says, it's been interesting meeting all of you. I'm not sure exactly what to think of the quest that you're on, but I hope that you manage to bring peace to your kingdom, to Vykaril. Every bit as much as you have here to Tralek. We are in your debt. If you ever need of us, please, send a message, send word. I'll make sure that it's done.
Thank you. We will not forget you, Cavadolina de Kurzget.
And you, Sir John of House Leighton, she says, almost as if she's trying to recall exactly what you had given.
So John nods.
She stands and takes like a small like bow and takes the missive that Ari has penned, and then we'll take her leave.
Ari at this would turn to Dane and like, if you could talk to the sword, I know you have and you can you not just ask it from whence it came, and that would help solve maybe that part?
I could. It doesn't always ever work that way. But it did show me oh boy. It did show me a vision of a lake with an island that doesn't exist. And kind of insinuated that's where it came from. But there's no I asked Eddard, there's no island in that lake. So
But maybe there is if you're looking at it in the right way.
do elves have invisible islands?
No, that's not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning just maybe we're just not looking at it right. So we should head there and maybe we will see it or figure it out, you know.
Jeremy, what was the name of the lake?
The lake itself, I believe, is Lake Kelmium. Let me
That one.
see if I can get the map. The map. Yes. So Lake Kelmium is by far like the largest body of water within the boundaries of the Kingdom of Vykaril. And those of you who are familiar with it, there is no such island on it. It is purely a body of water.
I don't know what good it'll do, but I was planning on having a conversation with this. That sounds. Yeah. there's some things I need to figure out anyway about this. So, as much as this bothers me and probably the queen, and could have screwed up everything that we've been doing, it occurs to me in this moment that I might also have really upset an ancient magic sword by forcibly attaching it to myself. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's Camagel is as much a person as any of us. Maybe even more than that. And when we went into Baneshill's area, and I had to, put it away, like there was a conversation, like I didn't just do it. I asked, right? And there was some reluctance there, but this, I think these are the hormones that Sir John warned me about. There was, how maybe all that training's rubbing off. Was a lot more action and a lot less talking. And I really don't know what happens next. But I'll ask as best I can.
I mean, what's done is done. There's not much you can do now to undone it. So having that conversation is probably your next step, I would say.
That or hanging
I mean,
in the hall in the
Oh.
castle.
No, I don't think we'll do that at all. No, a conversation sounds much better. But and the fact that, it hasn't actually killed you yet probably means it's open to having this conversation.
That's a thought. But I've had conversations with you where you didn't kill me and you were still really angry.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, the sword might be angry, but it's still gonna talk to you.
Angry sword sounds terrible, especially when I can't run away from it.
Can't really run away from me either, but
And now you see why I'm worried about the whole arm chopping off thing.
it was just a suggestion. I mean, maybe that's what it wants. You should have the conversation and then get back to me.
I don't remember anybody talking about chopping off any parts of you when you were worried about the whole owl pellet thing.
But I wasn't actually part of a sword either.
No, you were part of some secret elven thing.
It wasn't attached to me.
You cried like it was.
Oh. I think this conversation is done.
Chop off my arm. Yeah, I'll let you know what the sword does or doesn't say, I guess.
Perfect. I think on that note, this is where we're going to take our 10-minute break. So we're going to take a 10-minute bio break, refill your drink, smoke them if you got them, kiss your spouse, etc., etc. And then, we'll come back and finish up the second part of session 51 of Beneath the Banner Shadow, Familiar Ground. So sit tight, and we will be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from our break. This is Beneath the Banner Shadow. We are here with session 51, Familiar Ground. We're making the change back to D&D 5th edition, although you wouldn't know it from the outside. But that's just how we do things here. So we're going to head back into our story where you have just met with the childhood friend of Queen Vingafrik, who has agreed to take word of what has happened here in Trollic with her sister, Queen Dorthos. And yeah, you are finishing up your meal and rest that you have kind of just taken for a moment on the tail end of the combat that you just had with the Queen. You're still in Trollic currently, but unless there's any other pressing business, we're gonna skip forward to the point where you're about to leave. Unless there's anything else that, like I said, you want to do before you head out of the Dwarven Kingdom. Pause for interjection.
Nah, I think we've
No?
done enough.
We came, we toppled the Regency. No big deal. We got the t-shirt. Okay. Before you leave, it is verified that Queen Dorthos will in fact survive. And she has gained consciousness again, and is somewhat unaware of some of what has transpired, similar to Neolani and Bodhi as well, that you had experience with before. There's parts of their memory that seem blacked out, yeah, you expect that she will make a full recovery at some point. So, as you are beginning to head out of Trollic, you're kind of leaving this mountainous region, kind of heading west again, towards the kingdom, and you can see what feels like the entirety of the kingdom of Vykaril down below you. You can see the forest stretching on all the way to the horizon, and you can see smoke kind of rising from various places where you're guessing there are little villages or hamlets. But it's pretty obvious once you pass through the Tilgan Gate? Gate of Tilgan? What did I call that? Who's running this show? Tilgan's Gate. That's the name of it. As you pass back through what once was a glorious stone archway, you realize that you are kind of headed out of the Dwarven lands officially, and kind of back into the border regions of Vykaril itself. As you do so, you can feel like a change in the air, similar to whenever you rode through Gendon's Wall before. The kingdom is... the turmoil that it's going through is palpable. It's almost like you can feel it. The hairs on the back of your neck kind of stand up. There's just a little bit of a feeling of trepidation that kind of like creeps in at the corners of your mind. This ever-present feeling that things are just not quite right here. Is there anything that is happening as far as conversation between your characters, or anything that you're doing on the trail for this portion of your journey?
For Sir Dane, have you settled on whether you've got like what the functionality of this fusion is for you?
Probably not.
All right.
No.
Because I imagine like Sir John and Sir Dane riding side by side. And I don't imagine we're riding especially fast, like a walk pretty much, right? But Sir John is just like, in the sense that Dane is an annoying teenager a lot of the time, Sir John is an annoying fight nerd right now. And he is just like relentlessly asking Dane for questions and demonstrations and pitching ideas to him about like, well, here on horseback, it might be kind of nice because you don't really need a whole lot of wrist control to strike downward. But, and of course, the thrust is so simple and easy and no wrist required for that at all. In fact, kind of nice to not have a wrist, I would imagine, for the thrust. So many ways that subtle joint can break down in those moments.
I guess. I mean, there's some flexibility.
Probably only really finds its use in the bind then. Good for gaining that last bit of leverage you need to be able to slip in and strike.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Thanks for the help.
Oh, and I'm not done.
I know.
I'm devising entirely new drilling routines based on this. We'll find a scabbard that fits you quite well, and we can find as comfortable a way for you to exist as possible.
You know, I guess it'll make cutting my potatoes easier.
As if you'd ever cut produce with a sword. Oh, Dane. Seriously, don't debase the sword of kings with vegetables.
More worried about debasing it next time I take a bath.
Oh, gods.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm just hanging out on the tub.
But when I think about it, a waterproof scabbard for a sword so thoroughly connected to water in some way, perhaps
Oh,
not necessary.
no, I think the sword will be fine in the water. I'm not worried about that. Just I have to learn to wash left-handed and
Now look here, Dane.
uh,
I haven't been loud about it in my life, but I was born left-handed, and I live as a left-handed person to this day. And I tell you, if I can learn to be right-handed, you can learn to be left-handed.
and give it a couple, 20 years and I'll be great at it.
Oh, it didn't take that long. Besides, it can be really fun at parties. Slip out that you're just as capable of one hand as the other. Oh, well. Well, you'll be just as capable with the other hand.
Yeah. There is a real chance we're gonna have to chop my arm off.
No.
No, not today or tomorrow, unless I keep sassing Ari. But eventually.
Sir John reaches back and like taps the pack on his saddle where his armor is stored. We will commission something to make sure that you don't accidentally hew off a limb somewhere.
Oh no, it's not my sword.
A few days ago, I spoke to you of fealty and how it sometimes means more than we understand. You
Right.
may never separate from this blade, and if it is the king's blade, then you, Sir Dane, are the king's blade.
So what does that mean? I hang out in a throne room and menacingly wave my arm at people who don't think there's enough authority to tell them what to do?
I am the blade of House Lytenor. Do you see me hanging around in a throne room?
Um, like, at the risk of back talking two people in a very short period of time, you choose not to hang around in a throne room, and you get to put your sword away. You
Dane,
can go out to a tavern and be Sir John, not the Blade of Lytenor. I can't take a poop now without being the Blade of Vykaril.
That's where you're wrong, Sir Dane.
No, I tried. Trust
No,
me.
no, no, no. I may not always carry the blade of Lytenor at my side, but none could doubt, looking at my regal bearing, that I am a cut above the unwashed masses. In all moments, I am the blade of Lytenor, and I stand ready to be the blade of Lytenor, just as you, now, in all moments, are the blade of the king. And something else I want to say to you, Dane. You're young. Your entire life, you've been subject to parents and to knights who have squired you, and to a quest upon that has saddled itself on your back.
Mhm.
As you grow, you will find that all of these things are illusions, and choice is what forges our commitment, either to what has saddled us or to our own path. You have chosen to become the blade of the king. And you will choose every moment of your life what you will make of that. People will tell you what they expect, and you will choose whether you will follow or whether you will find your own path.
Right up until we turn me over to the king and I do what he says for the rest of my existence.
If you so choose.
I mean, that's how it works. Uh, But I mean, I I guess at least I didn't die.
And I'm very glad for that.
Me too. It is uncomfortable. I really wasn't trying to screw anything up.
And
I
perhaps you
saw
haven't.
I saw an opportunity. I went for it and got completely hammered by it.
Many is the time I've been hammered after taking an opportunity.
Not as many times as Tord.
We do try to keep pace, but he is legendary.
Makes me really thankful that his nickname is Shieldbreaker and not Swordbreaker.
Indeed.
So how many days do you think Ari's going to be mad at me this time?
Is Ari never not mad about something? Sir John like started talking and then lowered his voice before he finished that sentence.
100%. She is an elf, so yeah.
Mystifies me, I'll be honest.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if it's. I look at the amount of problems I have in 17 years and then realize that she has to be at least, well, older than that. I'm not gonna put a number to it.
Oh no, and I think it's wise of you not to.
Right.
I don't know how elves cope with the passing of the years, but if they're anything like humans, trust me.
I just mean maybe maybe she's been around long enough that the reason she's always angry is she's just had to deal with more.
Well said. There's wisdom in you still.
Ari, I think maybe you have been riding a little further ahead. And you come like down into a lower spot in the land where there's a body of water, and you kind of like come around to where you can visibly see the lake itself, and across the way you see something that like kind of stops you in your tracks. You see an enormous white dragon with its head and upper wings kind of like barely poking out of the edge of the forest at the shore of the pond, and it is dipping its head down and is drinking from this very verdant, kind of very green covered lake.
Yeah, I think Arya is completely silent. She's stopped her horse at this point, and she's standing very sitting very rigid on the saddle. And without even looking, I think maybe it's Tord that comes up next. She just kind of like puts up her hand to stop him, and then points silently towards what she's just seen.
Does that look like the dragon we've seen before?
So the only time that you have seen a dragon before was in flight, in the sky, decently high above you, high enough that this is way more detail than you were able to make out. This is much closer than it was before. But the shape of them is very much the same. This is undoubtedly the same color of dragon as well, a white dragon. The two of you can hear this conversation between Sir Dane and Sir John kind of unfolding as they are approaching you, growing closer.
Tord would kind of try to get Sir John's attention, and I'm sure we've kind of developed some sort of like knightly hand speak where it's just like, like stop.
Okay. Sir John, this conversation with Sir Dane is kind of prattling on. At this point, it's kind of just the little small jabs of conversation that are kind of happening now, and you see Tord giving you the signal to stop.
Yeah, I would stop speaking mid-sentence and be like, Dane, hold.
And like as soon as I get your attention, it's like I would point to the clearing. If you can see the dragon from where you are, all the better. But if not, just kind of like I imagine we have some sort of generalized idea of what we're talking about, given our months of campaigning.
Yeah, sure.
What I'm trying to communicate to you, it's like there is something over there worth looking at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think like if I'm further back on the road, can I see the dragon yet, or is it still obscured by
No.
trees?
Yeah, it's all obscured by like the lay of the land and the trees and stuff in this area.
Okay. So I think Sir John then says, Dane, you may have use of that blade sooner than we expected.
Oh. Okay.
I think Sir John kind of sends a hand signal back up to Tord, and is that it basically communicates like fast or quiet.
Returning quiet.
Okay. So Sir John keeps his horse at a walk and kind of signals for Dane to do the same, and is like, may not be an emergency, but caution is required. Let's proceed carefully.
Okay. Everybody, please roll stealth checks for me. Remember, if you have heavy armor, it is at disadvantage. Some medium armor, too, I believe.
We're on horses, too. Does that going to affect anything?
Ooh, that's a good question. No, I don't think so.
Rolled 2 15s. I don't give a fuck
Well, there you
about
go.
your disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
The dice said 15, sir. For a total of 16.
Okay. All right.
I
16.
rolled and wasted a natural 20. 22.
I also go to 22.
Ari and Dane are like ninjas. You did point out that Sir John was currently not wearing his armor, but a 5 is still pretty low.
Yep.
You begin to creep forward, and at some point, Sir John, your horse seems to catch wind of whatever must be ahead, and it starts to like fight you, and like it does not want to go forward. And at some point, you have to like wrestle this thing to not like turn itself around. And in doing so, you are like scraped kind of bodily up against the side of a tree, and it makes a pretty decent racket, snapping some branches and rubbing the metal of your armor against the bark. Immediately, for those of you who are beside the shore, the white dragon's head snaps up and looks in the direction of the noise, and then its eyes move over and lock with you that are standing there on the shoreline, and then its head immediately withdraws into the trees and it disappears.
How far away was it when we saw it? Like,
Probably within 100 feet or so.
but it was across the pond, right? Like we would have to kind of
Yes.
around it. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to circumnavigate the water.
I think Ari's just on guard at the moment, waiting, watching to see what kind of reaction, whether it's going to fly up and attack or if it's just disappearing. I have no intention of actually following it at this point because that seems dumb.
Everybody else kind of taking Ari's lead.
I think once I catch up, I'm gonna like look over in the direction Baron pointed or toward pointed. Like, what was it?
Dragon.
Dragon. So John's hand goes to his sword, but you can tell he feels naked.
I think it's safe to say we all probably have hands on sword hilts, barring Dane, who is sword hilt on hand.
Permanently, yeah. White dragon.
A white dragon. Do we know anything? Like, is there any common knowledge about dragon colors and meaning and all that?
So, I mean, usually if you have studied like dragons in any like real facet, the typical understanding is that chromatic dragons are bad and metallic dragons are good. But you would also know that that's likely just an oversimplification of things. But that being said, dragons are also exceedingly rare, and for the layman at least, nobody has no normal people have really seen one, though there are lots of claims to the counter.
How big is like our group? It's more than just the four of us, right? We have other people with us.
So you have Eddard with you, technically for the moment, and I think John's new squire, Sir John's new squire, is also with you.
Like that's the extent of our retinue. We don't just
I
have
think
like.
so. I don't think the rest of Sir John's group is with you.
I've been meaning to refresh the people traveling along with us, but currently, yeah, I think it's just my squire.
Okay. What is his name? Not finding it yet.
Balan, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Sounds like I need to get to know the squire a little better.
Lightnor. Yep. Balin Umberwood.
Balin, that's right.
Yep. An elf. Okay. Yeah, so just the 6 of you.
Well,
for a few seconds
yeah.
afterwards, you can kind of hear, like some twigs snapping, some branches breaking, as this dragon kind of withdraws into the forest. But after 10 seconds, 15 seconds, everything grows still and quiet.
It could kill us if it wanted to.
It would certainly be able to try.
Could I do an insight check on when it looked at us and then disappeared? What
Absolutely.
that kind of meant?
What'd you get?
Aiming
Sorry.
I got a 14.
A 14. So while the noise seemed somewhat to startle the creature, when it turned and looked in your direction, it didn't seem to be startled by your presence there. It seemed to be more just acknowledging that you were standing there. And when it withdrew, it wasn't hasty or scared. It just kind of decided that it didn't want you looking at it. And kind of, pulled away at that point.
Our path, the direction that we were gonna go, does it go in that, like, kind of around the pond to that area, or does it go somewhere else?
It does, yeah. You would definitely, if you're following the trail, would eventually cross the space where it was just a moment before.
Well, be on guard.
Do we give it a moment first before we proceed, or?
I'm not entirely sure it matters.
True. Okay. Yeah, I think then with that, continue on, maybe at a slightly slower pace. And definitely on guard, watching, alert.
Okay. You, after giving a moment, kind of nudge your horse forward again, and you kind of round the edge of the lake back to where this creature very obviously was. Whenever you arrive in that space, you can see like the broken tree limbs and stuff that it kind of made its way to and then away from the water. But you don't see any sign of the dragon itself. Aside from that, there's no marks on the trees. There's no scratching on the ground. There's no like scales or anything like that, and you don't see the beast itself amongst the trees. But you do catch whiff of the smell of something cooking.
Do dragons cook their food?
I
Right, not in the stories, they don't. But I mean,
Red dragons do.
He like stops and like turns and smiles.
right.
I will say that Tord has extensively asked about food in every place. What does this smell like to him?
You tell me. What does it smell like?
I don't know. I don't know who's cooking. Smells earthy.
Okay, so like savory.
Sure.
Okay. We'll say then, it smells like rabbit.
Couple of conies.
Brace of conies.
Some long ears, by the smell of them.
Well, even if it's not the dragon, it's I mean, as somebody who wasn't afraid of the dragon, there's no way they didn't notice a dragon.
Worth talking to.
Yeah, if the dragon didn't already eat them.
More the reason to intervene. To
Right.
the conies.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna run. I will trot.
Run, don't trot. You make your way deeper down the trail, and eventually you come across like a small stone wall and a hut. And it takes a second, but you recognize this hut.
Son of a gun.
You've seen this hut before, this exact same hut. And sure enough, there is a white cat that is prowling along the fence, and a white dog that is kind of running around the yard, who seem to greet you with some familiarity, like they've seen you before.
Tord straightens his hair.
I had a feeling this is where we were going.
I mean, in some way it makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Ari just gets down off the horse and kind of ties it up to the next, like the nearest, I don't know, tree or whatever, and is just kind of bracing yourself for this encounter, this conversation we're about to have.
Okay.
I will likewise get off and tie up my horse.
Okay.
Yep.
Put in
I will
Vykaril.
help Dane tie his horse because I'm thinking he's having a little bit of a difficulty.
It's like rope over, rope.
No, Ari, if you do it for him, he'll never learn.
Um,
He's got to practice.
Now's not the time. Besides, we don't have enough rope as it is.
Okay. So it sounds like everybody is, in fact, heading inside. Okay. You head inside, toward maybe even Sir John have to duck ever so slightly to kind of get in through the low doorway. Inside, the thatch roof is kind of patchy and lets bits of sunlight kind of shine through, and there's dried herbs that are kind of hung up all around this place, and there is all kinds of mortar and pestle and different ingredients that are bottled, kind of scattered all around this place, organized but cluttered. And at the far side of the room, at a stone fireplace, there is a cauldron that is boiling over the fire, and a woman, hunched in age and almost entirely dressed in white, stands stirring this cauldron. And this woman, again, you have seen before. This woman you know as the White Witch. As you enter, she simply beckons for you to take a seat in the various chairs and stools that are kind of around the table. Please make yourselves comfortable. You have a long journey ahead, and you've had one yet. You're quiet today, are you?
Tord would come in and take a seat.
You're
Yeah,
looking
as with
healthy.
Ari.
Thank you, Mom.
No. You've got a new name, I suppose, now?
Me.
No, her. She kind of points like a gnarled finger in Ari's direction, almost without even looking at her. She bears a new name, different from the last time.
Ari just kind of nods and I do.
No longer shield, but now fist. Yes?
Aye. You are correct.
It's a good change. Now is not the time for defensive measures. More aggressive courses are called for, I think. A fist is better than a shield in that case. Yes.
Ari just kind of gives her another like head bow before sitting down.
And you too. There are now two sirs who serve Lightenor. This is good. Please, are you hungry?
Forgive me, madam. It has been a long time since we've seen you, and we have slain many witches in between. You charged us with this quest, and it has caused us only woe.
Yes. Yes, and woe is not through with you yet. There will be more. More, I am certain of it. And soon, too.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'd like to eat.
Yes, eating is good. Build your strength. You will need it. You have reforged the sword. Good. She kind of like looks momentarily towards Dane's hand. Not precisely how I had pictured it, but it should still work.
Not how I pictured it either.
Adaptability. Adaptability, that's key. It's essential.
You had, or the riddle.
Riddle.
There's no island in the middle of the lake, and that's a problem.
Ah. There is no island that you can see with your eyes. Yes. And as long as you look with only your eyes, then yes, that is a problem.
I look at Ari
Adaptability.
like,
Adaptability.
She's just raising an eyebrow and looking right back at you at this moment.
Come, you cannot tell me that with all that you have seen and done, that you do not expect things to be easy.
oh,
You know, you cannot rely only on your senses.
right.
This one is not relying on his senses. He chooses to eat mistrust instead. She looks at Sir John. Fine. You have strength to spare.
So as she's passing out maybe the bowls of the food or whatever, I think one thing you guys have noticed probably since we were in the dwarven lands and such, that Ari does not eat anymore. She probably hasn't had any trail rations or anything since we've traveled. She doesn't seem to need it anymore. But she still takes a bowl from this woman.
And I think Sir John, like, especially seeing that and hearing what the White Witch had to say, he says, I dine on caution more than mistrust.
Very well. Suit yourself, it does not bother me. You've come a long way. You've seen and done much. I told you at the beginning of this journey that it was going to be fraught with danger and with woe. You had to be certain to take it on. It was no riddle. She kind of like lightly taps Dane on the head with the wooden spoon that she's carrying. It was a prophecy. It was not meant to be solved, not meant to be unwound, not even entirely meant to be understood, simply carried out.
Well, then I'm very good at that last part, the not understanding it.
The next part of your journey is no less difficult, I am afraid. It is true you seek an island that most do not know is there. But I assure you it is there. It exists. Shrouded in mist. Hidden on purpose. It is a source of great power to the Fae. Beings in places that are much older than the rest of Vykaril exist there. It does not have a name in the current tongue because it does not exist in the minds of the current people who live in Vykaril. To the elves, who are old and have been around for some time, they have record of this place. It is called Iberilath. Iberilath is something that you probably would have heard of. It is kind of mythological in teachings of the elves. It's a very distant place for most of the elves. It's a place that was at one time kind of a bastion, an outpost, if you will, in foreign lands. It is known as the Island of Fruit Trees, is kind of what it translates to. And it's known to kind of be a wellspring of like life and magical energy.
As soon as she says the name, I thought, that place is real.
Oh, yes, I assure you. As real as you and I.
I thought it just a myth, a story told to the young ones. Of course it's real.
Its existence, its location has been shrouded in secrecy for a long time. For good reason. Magic there is strong. Is strange. Can play tricks on your mind. It's not for the faint of heart. But I think your group is ready. Or nearly so. She then looks at Eddard. And she says what comes next almost entirely to him. The troubles in Vykaril are escalating. The bannermen of House Baramus and Duvendel recently seized West Buckshire. They now have a considerable hold along the southern shore of the kingdom. Furthermore, the third son of Lord Baramus, who was being kept at court to deter his father's more aggressive actions, was assassinated 3 days ago. Lord Baramus has accused the Queen of committing this deed herself. Given the recent rise in the rumors of her past, there are now sympathetic supporters that are rising for Baramus. The kingdom is threatening to tear itself apart again. These fractures run deep. Soon they will become fissures. You are the bridge. You are what will bring the two sides together again. Whole. What you are doing here matters. More than your personal glory, more than your titles, more than your lands. More than, dare I say, even your bodies and your souls. What we have asked of you can never be repaid. You do what you do for the good of the kingdom, for eons to come. Generations upon generations will feel the impact of your success or your failure. But I have faith. The prophecy has come true so far. I have no doubts that it will continue to reign true. I know that you are the heroes who will usher in a new era. But There is a crossroads now, a fork in the path. And those of you who will continue towards danger, towards fulfilling this prophecy, must now depart. One of you will go their own way. And again, she levels her gaze at Eddard, who has kind of like remained somewhat quiet, kind of shifts uneasily on the stool that he's sitting on. And he says, "Actually, there is something that I have been meaning to tell you all. I wish to return to Rasenfljord. I must take my leave of our quest and return to my lands. They need me. The growing danger of late demands that I be close at hand." And he kind of like pauses for a moment, and there's like a smile that crosses his face. "I received word from Reagan. She has officially taken her leave from House Warrington and has agreed to become the Duchess of Rasenfljord." So, as difficult of a decision as it is, I've made my choice. I will return to Rasenfljord and become a duke, and all that means. Well, he kind of stands up. "It has been a distinct honor to ride with each of you, to be a part of this enormous responsibility. I have grown a lot since I left Warrington, and it is in no small part due to each one of you. You've all taught me so much about what it means to be Vykarilian, to be noble." He kind of looks at Sir John. "To be wise and careful." He looks at Dane. "To be steadfast and strong." Looks at Tord. "And to never let anyone push me around." He looks at Ari. "These are all lessons that I will take with me, and will do my best to integrate into the way that I run things in Rasenfljord. Everyone who lives on my lands will know your names and your deeds. And when the time comes, though Rasenfljord is small, you will have my banner. Always." And with that, he says his goodbyes, and he parts. The four of you and Sir John's squire are left alone in the hut with the White Witch.
I think Sir John, like, when he bid his goodbye to Eddard, he said, we will count on you and the people of Raisinfleur when the time comes. But I think there was like almost a jealous kind of happiness for Eddard going home to find marriage and like comfort or something from Sir John.
Yeah, a little bit of a mirrored possible desire somewhere in Sir
Yeah.
John's.
And
Yeah.
like Sir John has always got this favor, this like kerchief or something that despite everything, he has kept remarkably clean and intact. And it probably, when he's not wearing his armor or whatever, is like, tucked into his belt or something. And I think he was like, anybody could have seen that he would have like touched that kerchief while he was talking to Eddard.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would hand a letter to Eddard to be sent to my family with updates on what we've done and instructions on how to interact with Race and Fiat to begin trade, to hopefully have some sort of backup trade network to rely on should this country go to shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Who tells you that he is happy to deliver this in person. Anything from Dane or Ari?
I think, yeah, Ari, when she's saying goodbye, she would just wrap Eddard in a warm embrace as she's saying goodbye. Almost doing that, like the ruffling of the hair. She says, you've grown into a fine man. This is not goodbye. We will meet again, and congratulations.
He smiles. Thank you. Hopefully it's not too long before we see one another again. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be old and grey, and you'll probably look exactly the same.
One day, we will be neighbors again.
Who knows? There will always be a place for you in Raisinfleur if you should find it. We can even have mulberry wine again at some point. Maybe a little less than last time.
I look forward to it. I will pass through Racenflot on my way home north once this is over.
Dane, is there anything that you wish to say to Eddard?
I don't think Dane says anything. I think he just like awkwardly as non-awkwardly as possible hugs him and cries because like no one's supposed to be leaving. I've already fought this fight with Ari.
He seems to understand that there aren't right words necessarily for this moment, and he hugs you back, and he's also crying. He says, I'm not much older than you, Dane, Sir Dane, and seeing you grow over the past year or so that we've been on this journey taught me a lot about how to be more of a man. You helped me grow up a lot.
Well, I guess next time I see you, I can also tell you how to use more of a sword or something. Mm.
Just promise me that whatever happens, that you make sure that you write some of this down. Make a book of your own. Even if you have to have someone else hold the damn pen.
Yeah, so as soon as I figure that out.
The stories of what we have seen and done and what you uncertainly are going to see and do, they rival anything that I've ever read in any book, and I grew up in a library. So for those of us who won't be there for the rest, please make sure to record it. Your unique perspective on the world, on things, is sadly lacking in the literary department. Well, I should go. And, as I said, he leaves you alone with the White Witch.
And I think once he's gone, kind of mirroring what almost like Sir John has been doing with this handkerchief, Ari subconsciously has been like fiddling with the brooch that is holding her cloak.
And with that, the cross guard is no more. But as I said before, the cross guard is the defensive part of the weapon. And we are no longer at the point when we need defense. We now need to be aggressive. We need to go on the offensive. Your enemies are reeling from the blows that you have dealt them. The Dark Queen will now target you most ferociously. She will seek to undo you and those who you hold dear. There is no telling the depths of her vengeance, of her pettiness, of her spite. She does not want you to succeed, and she will do everything in her considerable power to stop you. Your resolve may be shaken. You may be uncertain of where you are going. But if you continue to have fealty for one another, friendship, love, tenacity, you will succeed. Press onward. Find a guide who can take you to the island in the lake. You will know what you need to do once you arrive. Then, you push on to the next part of your quest, your destiny, until it is done. You have already made such progress. You have my hope and my faith. Please, eat up. Then you should be on your way. I cannot have guests around the house all day. Please.
She kind of claps her hands.
When we got here, there was a dragon outside. Is it a friend
A
of
dragon?
yours?
Here?
Mm-hmm.
I see no dragon.
Can we insight check her?
Please.
Oh, that's a nat 1, so never mind.
I'll give you advantage. How about that? I'll help you.
So John's been
Okay.
suspicious. I'll make a check as well.
Okay.
Only slightly better. That was 15.
It's a 19 for me.
And a 15 for me.
Okay. What did you end up with, Ari?
15.
50. Okay, yeah. So none of you has any real trouble at all telling that she is not telling the truth. At least not entirely. She has kind of a wry smile, like a twist of a wrinkle at the corner of her mouth that kind of belays that fact to you.
I think that so John can tell that she's not being truthful about this dragon thing. But by comparison, he didn't detect her lying about this food. So he is going to pick up a bowl.
Okay. It smells delicious. This rabbit stew that she has been making. And it is
Right.
quite tasty.
I think Tord might have helped Dane get some, if you wanted it.
Yeah, I'm just eating very slowly. You know, it's that very awkward misgripping of the spoon and left-handed.
I think this is very much like the awkward family dinner.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The uncle that
you
just
can
stormed
see-
out.
Sorry.
Everyone's really quiet, but there's the clanking of dishes as everyone's scooping onto their plates and starting to eat, you know.
And you can see that while Ari did take a bowl, she has had some of the the broth, if you will. She did not eat any of the meat, nor much actually of the food itself, because it was more of a polite gesture to take it and partake of it as little as she did.
Okay. Dane, as you are kind of taking the last bite of your stew, actually it probably wouldn't be the last bite. It would probably actually be as you begin eating the first of it. It reminds you a lot of a home. And you start to kind of think about home, about fertile ground, and your mom's cooking, and all of the familiar trappings of what you think of when you think of home itself. And then it starts to have little flashes of something else, a different entire place, someplace you've seen before. Again, a lake that is covered in mist and draped in green, verdant plant life, jutting rocks kind of like reach out towards you, and standing atop one of them is a woman who just seems as if she's watching your approach as you are getting closer and closer, and more of the island kind of seems to materialize out of the mist. And this woman bears a striking resemblance to your grandmother, your mother, the washing woman, all at once. And just as quickly as those little snaps of that vision are kind of cut in between your memories of home, you realize that the feeling of remembering home carried through all of those flashes. That some part of that island feels like home to you.
I think like Dane puts his spoon down and then turns to Ari. It says it wants to go home. Camagel. I've seen the island. It's there. We can get there. And I don't think Camagel's angry. Maybe as confused and unused to this as I am, but not angry.
I think Ari at this point, maybe she's sat beside you once Eddard had left, whatever. I think she just at this point just kind of puts her arm around your shoulder and gives you kind of like that side hug. Home we go.
The White Witch continues. Yes, travel to the lake. Lake Kelmian, on the far side of the capital. Your guide will find you. In order to enter the Fey realm, you will need the help of a Fey. Someone you have already met before, I believe. An old friend.
Oh.
Knew it, I knew it.
Well, now that you're all done, I don't suppose you're going to help with the dishes, so on with you. Shoot, shoot.
Yeah, I'll stand up.
With that, she ushers you out of the strange hut. And you are able to return to your horses and the trail.
I think before anybody gets on the horses, Sir John kind of like walks over to his saddle and pulls a scroll out of his bag. And it's like not old parchment. It's pretty new. It's clearly been worn a little bit just from opening it and writing on it a whole bunch, but it's not like it's ancient material or whatever. And he calls everybody over and he says, I've been meaning to speak to you about this for some time, and now that we are told it is the time for the offensive, it feels as though it's now or never. And he unfurls the scroll in front of everybody who's kind of like gathered at his shoulders or whatever. And the camera can kind of see at the top, it says, Grand Army of the Sword. And then there's a whole bunch of notes and ideas written down beneath that.
Perfect. Unless anybody has anything else, I think that's where we're going to end the session. Yeah. All right.
I think actually,
Ooh.
I think Tord would look up.
Mhm.
We'll need a banner.
Ooh, very nice. Oh yeah. All right, man. So yeah, not a lot of engaging with the mechanics. I was pretty sure that was going to be the case this time around. But again, we had a lot of transitory stuff to take care of in this episode, and I think we managed to hit every single one of them. So I feel good about it all. It feels like a good pivot in the story. We definitely feel like we're kind of moving from one stage into another. So yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun to pick this back up again. Okay, so I'm going to pass things back over to my players so that they can give any kind of parting words that they want. Once again, kind of touch on anything that they may have going on. And then we're going to get out of here. So we're going to start in reverse order with Karen.
Hi, Karen here. I think there's so good to play again. Love this game. So glad we're back in it, and things are happening, and I cannot wait for the next stage of our journey. Yeah, it's been a ride and one I want to keep going with. Thank you guys.
Hell yeah. Like I told y'all, the pace was going to start picking up a lot quicker. You're going to start going through these bullet points faster. The dominoes are falling, as it were. So yeah, we're definitely kind of in the home stretch, as it were, with this one, I think. Which, I mean, still could be another year and a half. Who knows? So next up, we have Baron.
Hello. Gosh. I have been playing with some of y'all for almost the better part of a decade at this point. I've been to multiple houses. We have new people and families. It's wild. This is like game 50. It's wild. Imagine when it's over.
It will at some point be.
Like all good things, this too must pass.
Absolutely.
But
again,
until then, it's not now.
Nope. Not now.
So we'll forego that thought. I'm Baron. I play an orc.
Well put. Yeah, man. It is going to be heartbreaking whenever this game finally comes to an end. But I am a massive proponent of ending the campaigns that I run. I really try hard to make sure that the stories have an ending because, in my opinion, a story is only as good as its ending. There's a lot of television writers that need to learn this lesson. But yeah, there you go. So I'm looking forward to it as well. I think it's going to be a good epic conclusion to one of the most robust campaigns that I've ever run. The fact that it has gone on for 7 years is insane. It's by far the longest running campaign that I've ever run. So yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Eli.
Yeah, I'm Eli. I play a lefty, and I am likewise really glad to be here after so long. It's wild, like, I mean, like you said, Jeremy, we're kind of entering a new phase of the story, and it really does feel like that. It feels like the momentum has been gathering for a long time, and now we're headed into the not final stretch, but like, pointing ourselves in that direction in a way that we haven't in the previous 7 years. And it's cool to be here. I've played one other campaign that had this much level advancement, and no other campaigns that have lasted even like a quarter of the real world time that this has been going on. So it's cool to be here. I don't really have anything to shout out. My latest game, Sword Opera, the Kickstarter's done, the pre-orders are done for now. The game hasn't released yet, so we're kind of in the production nexus time right now. But maybe in like a few sessions, I'll be able to announce that it's available on store shelves and that sort of thing. Digital store shelves. I don't know that we're going to do a physical release, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, man, and I'm sure by the end of this campaign, your kid's going to be graduating. So, yeah, dude, it's really really strange to. Well, I mean, like I've played D&D with the same group of people at home for like 24 years now, so I'm used to there being a lot of like life change and life adjustments, like still being a part of the background of the group of people that I play with, but. It's still wild that, again, multiple houses, surgeries, children, just major life events that have been going on in the background of this game, and going through those things with all of you makes it feel even more like this is a family. Like, I love all of you very much, and I love this game and the story that we're managing to tell with it a ton. And a lot of that is because of how long we've been together and helping each other somewhat through some of these life-changing events. So this game has a very special place in my heart. So thank all of you for being a part of that. Last but certainly most not least, Steve.
Most not least.
Most not least, words are things.
That they're all made up. It's okay. Like at some point, someone made them. I don't know. What do I do? Like echo what everyone else has already said? Like, I mean, it's going to be. I will say this. It'll be very strange when this game is over, right? Like, it's like there will almost be a need to find a time when we can collectively get together for something else. A board game. Whatever, just because, I mean, you can see it like when we miss a month or we miss 2 months and we get back together, like it's like having someone who's like, returning from out of town and they've been gone for forever. So we'll definitely all need that, because like, I mean, at least specifically for me, like some of the toughest parts of my life have been during this game. So, but like Baron said, he plays an orc, I play a sword. Tune in next week or month or whatever it is. Love you guys.
Fantastic, man. And again, like, what a special treat that we can have a game that is full of such dark misery and like terrible, awful shit that these people are living through and having to deal with. Yet all of you are also so great at finding the right moments for levity and for poignancy, and yeah, again, it's such a rare gem of a game. And obviously the group has shifted and changed a little bit, and we've changed systems a few times, which is also unusual for an ongoing campaign. But we've managed to work and we've stuck it out, and I think a large part of that is because of how much this game seems to mean to all of us. and this group of people. So I echo what you're saying 100%. Once this game is done, we will definitely still need to get together and hang. And board games are a great way to do that, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I've got another game that I have to play in 2 hours. So I'm going to go eat and sit on my couch for a little bit. Luckily, I am just playing that one. I'm not running it. But it'll be a lot of fun. Okay.
Is it streamed or?
It is not. It's Jake's game that he runs offline.
Nice. Well,
so
you guys have fun.
yeah, we're playing Tomb of Annihilation. I get to play my halfling rogue Ikadoc who throws daggers like a motherfucker. He's nasty. Yeah. Okay. What else? For those of you who watched this game, thank you very, very much for tuning in. It really does mean a lot to me that people enjoy the games that are here on the channel, especially something that is as much of a commitment to watch as this campaign is. If you're managing that, you are a monster. And I appreciate the fact that you have put in the work to go along this journey with us. It really does mean a lot. So thank you. Do all the stuff that YouTube likes. That little algorithm loves to see the like button pressed, hitting the subscribe button, sharing the link around, talking about it with your friends, generate the buzz so that this channel can continue to grow and these videos can continue to draw my attention. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. Who am I kidding? But no, sincerely, I love the fact that there are people that get almost as much, if not as much, enjoyment out of these games as we do playing them. It is a tremendous thing. So thank you. Remember that kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to someone. And the world is in a weird fucking place right now. And kindness is the answer. That's how we make it through this shit that we're in. And you never know. It may make all of the difference in the world to someone who's struggling just to have a kind interaction with a stranger. And it costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to someone. So go out and be kind. Unless they're a Nazi, then put your knuckles in their teeth. So yeah. I think that's everything that I need to say. So until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.